Say you want 2021 to be the most financially sound year of your life. What are you going to do every day for that to happen?
A lot of us think when we fail to achieve a goal that it was resources that were the problem, when in reality it's a lack of resourcefulness.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, 519, where we talked about committing to social media. Committing to social media in 2021. Today, for episode number 520, we are going to talk about setting your 2021 intentions.
So to kickstart this episode, shout out to our dear friend and mentor, David Meltzer, who taught us a very simple formula. So first I'm going to tell a quick story, and then we'll go into the formula.
Also, Happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year.
Oh, that's right.
Happy New Year.
Today.
Today's Happy New Year.
January 1st. Yes. Yeah. Happy New Year. Hopefully everyone was safe last night and had a wonderful New Year's Eve. Okay, so I'm giving a speech in Boston. Kevin was there. Matt was there. Other people were there. And after the speech, I've told the story once before, we were at dinner with all the speakers. And I remember Steve Ryder and I were the last ones just talking, and I would always pick his brain just because he is far older and very prolific, and he knows a lot. Okay. And I remember him telling me that what coincidence actually means from his perspective, how he defines coincidence, it's two lines meeting at a point perfectly. Apparently, it's a geometric term where two lines meet at one point perfectly. And so what people think coincidence means is that it was happenstance, chance, the roll of the dice, when in reality, it's actually two things meeting perfectly, even if we don't understand why. And so remember, when I say coincidence in this formula, again, back to the David Meltzer formula that he taught Kevin and I early on, he used to say, Alan and Kev, you set an intention, you pay attention, and then that equals coincidence. In other words, let's say you set the intention to buy a new car. Okay, you found out your friend was selling their car. You end up with a new car. What a coincidence. So I actually recently innovated the formula personally. I was writing it down in my journal, and I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, set an intention plus pay attention plus take action equals coincidence. And so I think that's the real formula to kickstart this with. So what are your intentions for 2021? What do you want to pay attention to in 2021? And what do you want to take action on in 2021 is what you're going to get out of this episode.
Beauteous.
Thanks, man.
Beauteous. So I think if you're going to set an intention for this new year, I think one of the most important things to do is look back on last year. Like, again, after this episode, we're going to reflect on it, right? We actually watched 2019's intention episode, and it was brutal.
It was tough.
But we reflected on it.
Yeah.
Okay? So reflect on 2020 and the goals and the intentions that you set. Now, again, 2020 was an interesting year. There was a lot of stuff. Obviously, going into 2021, there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff as well. But measure your progress. How well did you actually succeed at the things that you set out to accomplish? That's number one. Because I think you have to figure out, like, okay, I actually had a really good year. Or, I think for a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people post this, like 2021 was a terrible year. Like, I understand what you're saying. Actually, 2020 was a terrible year. It's like, I understand what you're saying, but for you personally, in terms of your health, wealth, love, mental health, spirituality, like how was it actually for you? I know as a whole, there's been a lot of tragedy, right? And I'm empathetic towards that, obviously. I understand that a lot of people have lost their jobs, their lives, their livelihoods, a lot of things. But I know Alan and I, when we heard about the lockdowns and everything that was happening, we said that we're going to try our best to come out of this better. And I think we have in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So us reflecting in 2020 is actually somewhat empowering. Again, we got the studio. Like, we got a lot of things.
Right.
We accomplished a lot of things. So us reflecting, I think, will help us double down on the things that we can re-intentionalize.
Fire?
Is that a word?
I don't know if it's a word, but
it is now.
I like it.
For 2021.
Well, I think the important piece here is not just to reflect on 2020, but to understand the correlation between the goals you intended and what did and didn't happen. I remember Kevin and I at the very beginning of quarantine, when COVID first started happening and the whole world was kind of freaking out, we were in Mark Metri's private gym. All the public gyms had been closed. And Mark had a whole bunch of speaking gigs. He was supposed to speak next to Gary Vee, and all these people, and his book was launching. He had a lot of things planned. And suddenly all of that was not possible anymore. And I remember, I'll never forget it. Kevin, myself, and Mark, we worked out briefly, talked about everything going on in the world, and then we sat down and we had 3 notebooks and 3 dudes, and we were just at a table setting intentions for the quarantine. How do we want to come? And I don't remember exactly when this was, but I know it wasn't too far into 2020. It's probably a couple months in.
I don't remember.
And I remember the image. Mark was across from me, Kevin was to my left, and it was literally like, okay, guys, we're going to come out of this quarantine better than we went in. Not only as men, but our businesses. And we literally wrote down all the things we intend to do during quarantine. And we have come out of it better than we went in. And I wonder to myself if we would have, if we weren't so proactive about setting that intention. We didn't have a studio back then. We never had gotten coached one-on-one by Evan Carmichael back then. There's so many things. We weren't even doing masterminds. And if we were, we certainly weren't doing them that well.
We weren't doing them.
I don't think we were doing them, yeah.
We didn't start doing masterminds until COVID.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Now we're at week 38.
Yeah.
As of this past Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
It is.
It's wild. And I wonder, I don't think we probably would have, because I don't know that we would have seen the opportunities that have come our way as opportunities.
Right.
Right.
Again, set intention, pay attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the number 2, so I'm going to give you the tactics. Alan's going to give you the other jazz, the deeper understanding. For, again, we've talked about system of success so many times, right? But at the end of the day, you can take an intention. Say you want 2021 to be the most financially sound year of your life. What are you going to do every day for that to happen? Okay, so number 2 for me, for the tactics, break down your year into daily habits. So we're figuring out what the goals we want. Great. What are the habits that we're going to have to form in order to accomplish those goals?
Right.
Right? That's honestly, and I know you're probably thinking like, well, it sounds super simple. That's not rocket science. Again, common knowledge is not always common practice.
Fire.
And I think that is the difference that our intentions created this year, is because we took the intention. We were doing 4 episodes a week. This year we decided to do 5. Our intention has always been to do 5 a week. And we paid attention to the fact that when COVID happened, we had this opportunity to do a remote mastermind. And it was like, oh, let's repurpose that for our 5th episode.
The first one I was in the motorhome
when
when my power went out.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And we rebranded. That's another thing we did. We used to be Hyperconscious Podcast. We rebranded because part of our intention was to help as many people as possible. We wanted to have, I think we said 5 million listens in 2020. So it's just interesting how that comes up.
My mom for Christmas, Santa for Christmas.
Santa Claus,
Santa
I know
Claus.
him.
Yeah. You know of him?
Him, yeah.
He eats your cookies, right? God damn it. No. My mom bought us a Next Level University picture frame that I'm going to bring in here.
What?
Which is fire.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's wild.
But she also bought us, I don't know if it's new business cards, but it's hyper-conscious stuff. She bought us some throwback, and she's like, well, I ordered it. I couldn't take it back. So that was a trip. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. R.I.P. R.I.P. to hyper-conscious.
I remember she bought mugs. She bought the clear mug, or the white mugs that when it gets hot with coffee, it turns into hyper-conscious?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's awesome.
My goodness. All right, number 3
Yeah.
on my tactics list. Be honest about what you didn't accomplish and why. Also, give yourself credit for what you did accomplish.
Right.
Okay, so say you're looking back. And I'm talking a lot about reflecting because I think when you reflect, you can perfect. Okay, so look back on this year. Well, it's going to be last year when you're listening to this. Look back on last year and say, like, what did I actually want to get done? Right. We said that, right? Reflect on it and measure it. Why didn't I get what I wanted to get done?
Right.
Was it a consistency thing? Was it a discipline thing? Was I not committed enough? Did I get 4 months in and say, you know what? I want to change things here. Right? That's perfectly fine. But make sure you're giving yourself credit for that. I think it's so important because what worked and what can we double down on and what didn't work that we have to eliminate for these intentions. You're gonna, if you have new goals, bigger goals, completely different goals, you're gonna have to change your habits, you're gonna have to change your effort. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to look back on what works really well. Like maybe this year for us, we delegated, right? We have a team now that does a lot of the digital production.
Right.
that's something we can consistently double down on. That worked really well in terms of making it a win-win-win-win.
Right.
Right? Like it's a win. It's huge. It's where we're helping people who are helping us. They're doing something they love. They're creating really great things that are helping us and our clients. Win-win-win.
Right.
That's
And
something
our listeners.
and our listeners. And that's something that we want to rinse and repeat. So I think for me, a lot of it's about reflection, because I think you have to figure out what worked well and what didn't. And then you have to commit to the new system that you decide upon. If you're looking to get more clients and grow your business, we just did an episode, the last episode, committing to social media in 2021. That has to be something you do every day.
Right.
It has to be something you do every day. What are the other things from your perspective now that you should be doing every day? How do we lock those in and stay consistent?
And when you do reflect on 2020 and you realize some things you did really well and then some things that didn't, for lack of better phrasing, come true, what I don't want you to do is point to excuses outside of yourself. A lot of us are guilty of this. I know that I am. We want to point to all of these other reasons, and I'm going to quote Tony Robbins on this because I think it's so powerful. A lot of us think when we fail to achieve a goal that it was resources that were the problem. I didn't have the right people. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the opportunity. I didn't have the, time. When in reality, it's a lack of resourcefulness. It's a lack of self-discipline. It's a lack of communication skills. And this is one thing that I basically emailed one of the people on the Next Level University team recently, and I said, when you do reflect on what you have achieved, but more importantly, what you haven't, I don't want you to come up with any reasons outside of yourself. Everything that you do is your fault. Everything you say is your fault. Everything you think is your fault. And everything that you do, say, or think in response to what's done to you is your fault. Mm-hmm. And if Eric LeGrand can find a way for his adversity to become his advantage, there's no reason why you can't as well. And I'm also going to change fault. I'm going to correct myself. Instead of fault, it's your responsibility. If Kevin, is having a challenging week and certain things aren't getting done in the business, it's my responsibility to support Kevin as his business partner. It's Kevin's responsibility to do the same. And we could easily point, I could have easily said, well, our listens are down this week, or we didn't achieve our goals because Kevin wasn't holding his weight. Well, were you talking to Kevin? Were you and him on the same page? Were you supporting him when he needed help? And again, this is a total hypothetical. Kevin's been on point all year.
I appreciate
honestly,
that.
absolutely. But I think it's important for people to realize that, if you didn't achieve your goals in 2020, it's your fault. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's empowering, because if you always point to, I didn't have the time or the money or the capital or whatever, you're never really you can't change that. That's outside your control. So I wanted to mention that as well. The last thing that I'll mention here, and I said this on the last mastermind, I was reviewing it earlier today actually. I remember when I was 23 years old, I drove across the country. And you've probably heard me talk about how driving from Boston to LA is very different than driving 1 hour from Boston to Worcester. And we think that it's about the journey. Life is about the journey, and I agree. But what I don't think we realize is that the destination you plug in the GPS changes the journey. It changes what roads you do and don't take, and all that. And so if you have low goals, you don't need to become a bigger person, a better person. And so when you set goals for 2021, don't just think about, I want to achieve this thing. Think about what it's going to make of you to achieve it. And there's 4 types of goals, and I won't go too deep into it, but there's results goals. One example of Kevin and I's results goals in 2021 is 50 million listens. Okay, one example of results goal in 2021 is to $1 million in gross revenue. Okay, there's also growth goals. One of the growth goals that Kevin and I share is to become a better podcaster. Okay, if that's a priority, instead of let's say we wanted to be the best with animals, it's going to dictate what we do and don't do. If Kevin and I want to be the best dog trainers in the world, we're going to have a very different life than if we want to be the best podcasters we can be. So there's results goals, there's growth goals, there's philanthropic goals. So super exciting. We started our first philanthropic efforts this year during the holidays. Thank you, listeners, for those of you who donated and contributed. But there's philanthropic goals. What do we want to do in 2021 to give back? Fire. Okay. And then also there is process goals. Kevin already talked about that. Don't just set a results goal of 50 million listens. What is the daily system of success that you need underneath that to actually make that happen? And so a process goal for me would be to do, one mastermind a week. Kevin and I, one mastermind every single week for all of 2021. Boom. That's a process goal. So that's 52 masterminds, 36 of which will be Kevin and myself. And that's also connected to a growth goal to be better speakers, because when you have to do 36 brand new trainings every year, so they're all connected.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's clarity too.
Right.
I was on the phone with a client last week and we were talking. So she has a business. She has an interior design business. And we were talking about, I said, all right, let's reflect. I want to know exactly how much money we made. You'd be proud of me. I want to know the net. I want to know the gross. Like, I want to know all that. Your expenses, all that.
I am proud of you.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And we were going through like some of her stuff. And I said, what's your goal for this coming year? And she gave me a number. And we've done this before of like, okay, what's your average cost of, what's your average price of a customer? What do you make?
Right.
This amount. Okay. So you need 56 clients over next year. Like, that's not a ton.
Right.
56 divided by 12 is probably 4.425, maybe something like that.
Right.
That's not a ton. That's one a week.
Right.
You can do that.
You can do that.
Right? So I think it's breaking it down to something more tangible, something more bite-sized. And also, I think another thing is like, figure out where you are in your life right now. So a lot of this, I'm just kind of trying to lean into what I feel. Where are you in your life right now? Do you feel like a ton has to change? Do you feel like you need a new circle of people to accomplish your 2021 intentions? Do you need a new mentor? Do you need a new coach? Are you having trouble? Like, get clear on all of these goals. Where do you want to be health-wise at the end of 2021? Wealth-wise, love-wise, overall life. Like, all of those things. Get crystal clear and then start writing these things down. I literally want you to paint a picture of what the end of 2021 is. When you're listening to setting your 2022 intentions of Next Level You, I want you to be like, I painted this picture and I've accomplished it. I've really, really accomplished it. I think you have to be crystal clear, and it'll get clearer as you go. And again, things are going to change for sure, but it's important to start with clarity.
I think another really important thing to understand here is aiming high is going to force you to become a lot, and it's going to filter out the person's, places, things, and ideas that are not probably good for you. So if your only goal is to pay your bills in 2021 and to get by, it's not going to force you to go get a next level mentor. It's not going to force you to go get a next level coach. It's not going to force you to... This is one thing that I've realized in coaching. The higher someone's ambition and aspiration. I'll use aspiration because I think it's a better word. So the higher someone aspires to climb, the more they need coaching. And the more they need coaching, the more they invest in the learning of the actual calls. And so now I personally, and I've said this many times on the show, if you don't have a level 10 desire in terms of your own personal growth, I probably am not the right coach for you, just because I can tell you kind of don't want it bad enough to grind. And that's okay, right? If you want to be the greatest fitness person in the world, you're going to have to work a lot harder than someone who just wants to be in shape. And so there's no right or wrong answer here, but I do want people to understand that the lifestyle you think you want is actually a byproduct of bigger goals than you can currently get. And I want someone, let me try to bring this tangible. So Kevin intends to be a millionaire, and you intend to purchase a car that's what, $278,000 or something like that?
I think it's probably like $200.
Okay, $200,000
total with all the bells and whistles.
Bells and whistles.
Which I need.
So basically, if I was Kevin's coach, I would say, Kev, okay, I know that you in 2021 you want to buy this car, this $200,000 Mercedes. Okay. I don't recommend you set a goal to buy that car. Right. I recommend you set the goal to be a millionaire. On your way to a millionaire, even if you miss, you're still probably going to be able to afford that car. And there's a big difference. Remember, set an intention, pay attention, take action. If you set the intention, I intend to be a millionaire business owner, then you pay attention. Oh, interesting. I met this business coach who's going to teach me so much. Okay, now I'm going to take action. I'm going to hire them. Okay. See, whereas if you just wanted to buy that Mercedes, you might not be as inclined to go get a coach. And that coach can make all the difference. And so I think the other more important piece of this for deeper understanding is when you set your goals for 2021, don't be afraid to aim high. If you struggle with self-belief, even if you get one half of the way there, you're still farther than you would have been if you just set the bar really low.
Yeah.
But you also need to understand the implications of setting high bars. It's very hard to have self-esteem when you're constantly failing at your high bars. So just realize that like setting a big goal is really important for the byproduct of that big goal to be the lifestyle you really want. But self-esteem is going to need to be a big focus because it's difficult to set high bars and consistently fail forward.
I would say invest, like treat yourself to a New Year's whiteboard. I would buy a whiteboard and I would put your intentions on this whiteboard. Again, set an intention, pay attention. What is a beautiful way to pay attention? To say, see it. Right? That's why journaling is such a big thing. Behind the camera, we have our manifest board where we have some things. And I just think that it's easy to set intentions. It's not hard. It's easy. Right. Honestly, it's very easy to set intentions because the cost of it is zero.
Right.
But when you have to pay attention consistently, I think that's where, I mean, think about it. How many people want to do better? Everybody. Yeah. How many people actually do, or how many people pay attention to wanting to do better long enough? I think whiteboards are a game changer.
It's a fire tactic.
It's the way.
We have 5 whiteboards in the studio right now. I have a whiteboard in my room with all of my intentions that I set 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
No, I have 2 whiteboards in my room as well. But also Kevin behind the camera on his laptop has that Mercedes, a picture of it. Yeah. And on my background on my laptop, it's Tony Robbins on stage. And I know that'll be Jeff and Jeff.
And the background of my phone, you won't be able to see this on the camera, I don't think.
The background of my phone is the Tony Robbins photo as well.
Mine is just, well, you can't really see it because it says something.
What do we got?
It's just some guy standing in front of a crowd of people. I don't know if you can. Oh yeah, you can see that.
Fire.
Yeah, because again, that's an intention. I write down, and this is the thing. When you guys are journaling, what are you writing down? Every day I write down certain things for 2021. Now, for 2020, sorry. I am not necessarily going to accomplish those this year.
Right.
I write down stadium tours.
Right.
I want to do the Grant Cardone stadium tours with Alan. I want us to do that, right? And we have so many people in the industry now, like Dave Meltzer. That would be amazing to get him and Evan and Mark and all these amazing
Next
people.
Level Live, baby.
Yeah. So that's something that I write down every day.
I just touched your foot.
You did just touch my foot.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll get over it. So I just think it's important. I think, again, guys, you're not, and I'm going to steal Alan's, you're not going to be, 2021 won't be the best year of your life unless you set that as an intention and then pay attention to it long enough and take those actions and get over those limiting beliefs. Like, the year will be what you make of it.
100%.
And I want you to set big, powerful, heart-driven, wallet-driven, impact-driven, love-driven intentions that you can accomplish, because 2021 can be the best year of your life, but you have to decide you want it to be first.
We have 1 minute and 58 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, we should hold our breath the whole time. Ready?
Competition?
No, I'll pass out.
Your life will not get better by accident. And there's 2 last things I want to say quickly here.
Yeah.
I talked to a Next Level University team member recently, and in the follow-up email, Kevin and I were both on that call. And in the follow-up email, I said this. I said, I want you to really think about what I'm about to type. Or I said say in the email, but I'm typing it. I said, with consistency, all things are possible. Just about.
Yeah.
Without consistency, almost nothing is. And I think that's, if you're a listener to this show, you definitely value consistency because those are the episodes that get the highest hits. But what's interesting is, like, I don't care if you want to climb Everest or do the splits or be a bodybuilder or be a successful business owner or have a great relationship. It doesn't matter. If you can't be consistent, you literally can't. I'm going to say the word can't. You cannot succeed.
We don't usually allow that around here.
I know. But you can't. Without consistency, you can't. With consistency, you can do almost anything. Without it, you might as well forget it and not even set the intention. And so there's that piece. And then the second thing is, Jim Rohn says this, and I'll never forget. It's just so simple, but it's so true. He basically says, well, what if your mom changes? Okay, what if your negative relatives change? What if your kids change? What if your spouse changes? What if the economy changes? It doesn't matter. Your life will not improve unless you do. It's this weird thing where we have this belief that things will get better on their own. And I just don't believe that. I have a core belief that if I want my life to improve, my relationship to improve, our business to improve, I have to improve. And so if you're at Next Level You right now, the next level results you want for 2021 are going to require you, Next Level You, to become more next level. And that's going to be through setting intentions, paying attention, and taking action. Most importantly, taking action.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, take out your notebooks and get to writing. Like, this is one of those episodes where you definitely want to start writing stuff down. Our goal is always to add as much value as humanly possible on these episodes, but some of these episodes, it's really good for you to take your life into your hands and say, look, I'm going to sit down and do journaling. Take 20 minutes, write some of the stuff we said down. Maybe we could post this in, well, I don't know, because it's quite a mess.
Right.
It's quite a mess.
Yeah, it's not that understandable.
It's not that understandable.
Don't just listen. We want you to take an action. Like, we love that you listen. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
but you will not get to the next level unless you actually put pen to paper and do these work exercises, these homeworks. That's one thing we've noticed. And again, the masterminds as well. So I'm going to go into that.
Yeah.
The masterminds are designed to be a more intense version of this. And a lot of what we talked about today was about setting intentions, but if you really want to dig deep on how that all works, that law of attraction one that we did, man, I reviewed it and it was like, whoa. I got into the studio and I'm like, Kevin, with risk of sounding arrogant right now about our own show, that was the most valuable episode I've almost ever heard in my life from any podcast. The law of attraction one, I forget which number it is, but it was probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it was.
I believe it was 2 weeks ago. Check that out because this is going to really give you the why power you need to make sure you set intentions, because it'll give you the deeper understanding as to like why that all works the way that it does. And also join those masterminds every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. One thing that I do know that will change your life more than anything in 2021 is getting around more next level people. That's the best way to do it.
I concur. And in 2021, if you want to make more money, Alan is doing Peak Performance Business Coaching, where he'll help you dial in your numbers. If you're an early entrepreneur or somebody who is on their way, Alan can add a ton of value and also just bring an element that most people don't have. I think you're amazing with numbers, and I don't want to say mastered business because I know that'll go right up to your head, but Alan has helped us. We've gone from 0 to 6-figure business, and a lot of that is because of Alan. I want to give due credit.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
welcome.
that.
You're very welcome. And if in 2021 you finally want to take that dream, that purpose, that mission, that passion, and turn it into a podcast, Alan and I have a system service together, Next Level Podcast Solutions. Maybe you want everything done for you. Maybe you want a little consulting. We have something that will fit your needs over at NLPS, and you can make 2021 the best podcast year of your life. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Up next, I had to pull it up so I can sell this man correctly. We are sitting down with Nick Cavuto. So we were on the Power of Mindset Summit.
Yep.
And we did a speaker hot seat, and Nick was in there, and we could tell that he was like super heart driven, but also like super successful.
Yeah.
So Nick literally in his profile says people helper, problem solver, and he is a fast growth specialist. Energy, frequency, and vibration. Fire. I love that. Over $50 million in revenue for his clients. So this man also is probably pretty good at business.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm excited for that.
What do you think?
Yeah.
You going to enjoy that one?
I am.
He seems like a very good dude. I can't wait to chat with him. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this. We will talk to you on the next one. And as always, we do not have fans. We have family.
Talk to you soon.